So in today's video, I'm going to go through the top 10 albums of May 2022. If you watch my channel, last month I did actually two videos. I did the top 10 albums of April and I did albums I missed in April. But with those two videos, I felt I was kind of like repeating myself with some of those. So I decided to just do it all in one video. So these albums will be ones that I have done full reviews for, and albums that I didn't review at all. So basically I have a lot of honorable mentions, which I'll go through quickly, and then I'll go through my top 10. And these are pretty much all metal albums to some degree. You know, I usually try to mix in some rock or alternative, but I think it's pretty much all metal this month. So I'm going to go through these quickly. First, honorable mentions. So the first ones, these are the ones that didn't make the list. So I got Halestorm, Back from the Dead. Decent album. I really like the Steeple, but that one didn't make it. Jungle Rot, Call to Arms, really good death metal album. You know, I kind of like those chugging guitars. This one almost made it, but you know, just not quite. Misery Index, Complete Control. That was a good one, just straightforward death metal. You know, I really like the lyrics. You know, they talk about a lot of like political topics, but that one didn't make it. James LaBrie, Beautiful Shade of Grey. That was a decent album, but not one that I really didn't go back to that much. It was just very, very light, very laid back. And then there's Septic Flesh with Modern Primitive. That was a band that was fairly new for me, and I liked it. They were different. You know, they had that like symphonic death metal, something you don't really hear a lot. They were original, but you know, in the end, that one didn't make my list. Michael Schenker Group, Universal. It's a good album. I really like a couple of the singles. Under Attack was a really great song, and The King Is Gone was a really great song. The rest of the album was decent, okay, but nothing that stood out for me. Motor Sister with Get Off. That one I liked when it came out. You know, but I didn't really go back to it that much. Decent band that has got Ian, Pearl a Day. You know, it's a good like hard rock type of band. It was good, but I didn't really go back to it. Then there's Def Leppard, Diamond Star Halos. That one actually didn't make my list. I like it a lot. I have been listening to it. I really like the singles. Take What You Want. That's a really great song. But it's kind of long, it has some filler, and then the country songs didn't really fit with it. So that's why I didn't make it. Anvil, Impact is Imminent. They're a band I respect. You know, they're hardworking. They keep putting out albums. This one was good. It has some good songs, but it just didn't make my list. Jeff Scott Soto, Complicated. This is melodic rock. I listened to it a few times. I thought it was decent, but it didn't make my list. And my last honorable mention is Moontooth with Phototroph. That was a good album. That one probably came close to making my top 10. You know, progressive metal. They do lots of like different stuff. Really original. I know a lot of people like that one, but for me, that one didn't quite make it. So I'm going to get into my top 10 albums. So at number 10, I have Decapitated with Cancer Culture. This is a band I've never listened to them before. I knew about them, you know, I've heard the name. I was kind of like going into it expecting like something like really like brutal death metal, but I was actually surprised because they did have more of like a groove metal, you know, aspect to it. So that was surprising for me. I thought the album was very consistent, just, you know, lots of heavy, chunky riffs, you know, nice, you know, heavy beats, everything you would want. I can't really say anything negative about it, but it doesn't really have like the highs to put it higher on the list, you know, if that makes any sense. But it's a consistent album, you know, all the way through, and that's why it's at number 10. At number 9, I have Cavein with Heavy Pendulum. This is a band I've pretty much never heard of them before. I think I discovered them through the Chill Dude on the Couch reviews. I know he did the review. He might have even interviewed them. I'm not really sure. And I know this band kind of like took a long break, so they've been around a while. And I actually like them. My first impression, I thought they were kind of like, they're very unique. You know, they're a mixture of grunge. You know, I hear like a lot of like Alice in Chains and that type of sounds. Also, There's some like progressive metal elements, and you know, hear elements of like Mastodon in this band, and really kind of hard to describe. They're kind of like doing their own thing. You know, they don't really fit into one like particular category, so that's what I like about them. If I had one complaint, is that I felt the album felt long. I didn't really check exactly how long it was, but it felt like it dragged a little. That would be my only complaint. But at number 9, Cavein. At number 8 is Crematory with Inglorious Darkness. This one came out recently. I've never listened to this band. I kind of like just gave them a chance just by, you know, putting it on. And my first impression, I thought they were kind of like Rammstein, but like a little heavier. They're a German band. You know, some of the lyrics are in German, some are in English. And this is just a really good album. Yeah, I think like it's because of like the German language that like lends well to heavy metal music. I think as an English speaker, as a native English speaker, like the German language kind of feels like very angry to me, or sounds angry. So that's why I thought it works well with metal music. And another album, it's just a solid album. I don't really have any complaints about it, but you know, it just, you know, has a really nice flow to it, and it's just a really good album. So that's my number 8. And number 7 is Bloodhunter with Knowledge Was the Price. Another band that I've never heard of before, but when I did some research, the lead singer, female lead singer, her name is Diva Satanica, and she's in the band Nervosa. I actually reviewed that album back in 2021, the last album that came out. And this band is very similar to melodic death metal bands. I can compare them a lot to like Arch Enemy. And this is another album. It was just like very consistent. They do like a lot of heavy, really, you know, death metal, but it's also melodic. You know, like kind of think of like those like Iron Maiden types of riffs into like a heavy, like a, you know, old school death metal sound. And Diva Satanica, really a great vocalist. And number 6 is Visions of Atlantis with Pirates In. This one's actually surprising. I've never really heard of this band before. I think I reviewed the album only because I put it on my poll and it got a lot of votes. I think I discovered this band through the Fire Burns Within channel. This band, it's power metal. My first impression was they were very similar to a band like Nightwish, that kind of like a female singer, very like the operatic, you know, classical trained vocals. This is a very like family friendly, upbeat, you know, very wholesome, you know, there's nothing evil about it. You know, this is the kind of album you can like put on like at a children's birthday party and like nobody would like look at you strange. And it's just melodic rock, and I thought it was like really good. You know, after a couple listens, actually I listened to it a lot. And it's just definitely a good album. I think if I have one complaint is that they did kind of end on like a softer song, and you know, I usually like them to end. I like the albums when they end songs on a banger, you know. But really good, heavy melodic rock, so I enjoy this one. At number 5, I have Gwendydd with Censored, another band I've never heard of them before. I discovered them through the Chill Dude on the Couch reviews. He reviews the album, and he also interviewed the band. Really, this is really good. It's like metalcore, but it's also kind of like death metal, and they incorporate other elements of you know, different metal genres. So, you know, I'm not really a big metalcore guy, but they like do it really good. Another band with like a female singer. They're a band that's not very well known, and I can't really compare them to another band. I mean, they're kind of like doing their own thing. But it's just that really chunky riffs, and it gets like a little progressive at times. And they kind of play around with like the time signature changes. The vocals are just like really on point. They can be harsh, they're clean at times. And definitely an underrated band, so something I recommend you check out. At number 4, I have 0 Hour with Agenda 21. Another band I've never heard of before. The only other channel I know that did a review was the Green Man channel. And I mean, he didn't really give it a stellar review. I probably liked it a little more than he did, but I thought it was like really good. You know, it's just very technical. It's progressive rock. It has like this science fiction theme. It's a concept album, or I believe it is. I didn't really research it too much, but it is just really technical. They play a lot around with like time signature changes, and just the riffs are like really on point. So I enjoyed it. I don't really have many complaints, but it's like only like 5 songs, and like some of the songs are like 15 minutes, and other songs are like 5 minutes. So if you're somebody who likes, songs to be like kind of like a little more consistent, maybe you won't be into this band, but for progressive metal, I thought it was like really good. At number 3, probably a controversial pick, would be 3 Days Grace with Explosion. This was an album that I know a lot of fans didn't like. I think with they changed their singer, sometime in around like 2012, around that time. And those last 3 albums weren't as strong, but this one was actually like the best of those 3 with a new singer. And I thought it was really good. The lyrics, the first single, So-Called Life, I really love that one. And just lots of great songs, A Scar Is Born, Circle of Abuse, Champion. I thought it was a really solid album, and I'm kind of in the minority with this album. So anyway, moving on. At number 2, Evergrey, A Heartless Portrait, The Orphean Testament. Another band, I knew about them. I've never listened to them before this album. I knew they released one last year, so they're a productive band. They get albums out. And it's just a kind of band that didn't click with me at first, but once I listened to them, they're just like really like on point, really great songwriting. It's progressive metal, but they also have that like power metal like influence as well. So the songs are catchy, they're memorable, but at the same time, they do have those progressive elements, and there's like a lot going on. Really great musicianship in this band. So that's why I chose Evergrey. And my number 1 might actually be a surprise, but it's the Graham Bonnet Band, Day Out in Nowhere. Graham Bonnet, he is kind of like a legend in the rock community. He had the band Alcatraz. He was on one of the Rainbow albums, and he's just a singer who has been around a long time. Now he is getting up there in age. I think he's like in his 70s. You can hear, in his voice, maybe he does kind of show his age, but it's a really good album. If you like Deep Purple and classic rock, and this is just pure like dad rock or boomer rock or whatever you want to call it, but I just like really love this album. It just took me back to those like early 80s, those like Deep Purple albums, or like 70s hard rock. And at first I didn't think it was like that great, but listening to it again, I thought it was a really good, and it's just really solid. All the songs are just on point and are just really enjoyable. So that's my list. If you think I missed anything in the month of May 2022, put them down in the comment section, and we can start a conversation. And that is all. I'll see you in the next one.